Welcome to the David and the Bear podcast. Let's have a good time. Yes, sir. Welcome back, everybody, to another episode of the David and the Bear podcast. I am here with a very special guest of mine. He is a husband. He is a brother. He is a son. He's an overall great friend. And yeah, he's just that guy. He's just that guy. He's him. Um, but we've been friends for I think about 2 years now, Russ. I think it's two.
Yeah, probably about that.
Yeah. So without further ado, Russ.
Hey man, how are you? Thanks for having me on, dude.
Can't complain. Can't complain. I'm glad to have you on because I need some people from River Tree, and I was like, we're gonna bring Russ on first. Let's see how he goes.
For sure, for sure.
So where do you want to start, Russ? Do you want to start on a high or do you want to start on a low?
We can start on a high. Why not? You're in the driver's
Okay.
seat, dude. I'm just here for the ride.
All right, all right. So, what are you proudest of in your life, Russ?
That's a good question. Um, I don't know, man. I think I'm probably proudest of hmm. Right now, I think I'm probably proudest of the college group, right?
Mm,
I mean, outside of like, of course, my my relationship with my wife and stuff like that, like some super obvious answers, right? Obviously I'm
mhm,
really proud of that, but proud that we are where we are and that we've gotten where we've gotten. But I think on a more personal level, I think I'm really proud of the college group and the young adult group at River Tree. um, I can't claim sole responsibility for that by any stretch. I definitely wouldn't say that I'm proudest of it because I did it,
mhm.
right? But it's the thing that one of the things that I'm involved with that I'm some of the most that gives me some of the most pride. Um, I mean, when I started going to River Tree downtown, the young adult group didn't exist. It was like me and like three or four other people my age, around like 23, 24, right? And now if you go on a Wednesday night to either the young adult men's or women's Bible studies, there's probably going to be like 20 to 25 people. And
That's
if you
crazy.
go but between like at both, so like 40 to 50 overall. And then if you go on like a Wednesday night for Fireside, like where we
Mm,
combine both groups, we'll probably have upwards of 70 people there. And I'm really proud of everyone involved with that, right? Being able to be involved with that has been really awesome. And then the same thing for the college group. Like
yeah, I was a part
when
of that. I was a part of
when,
that.
yeah, dude, you were. It was awesome when Will originally put out the call for volunteers. I saw it in the bulletin and was like, this is something that I really need to get involved with.
Mhm.
And I showed up and it was me, Will, and like three or four college students. Patrick and Elizabeth were still going. Connor and Sarah Grace were still going, but they were about to transition out of college because they had all graduated
Mhm.
and had like either were about to get married or had just gotten married and all sorts of stuff. So I started helping out in this like period of change. And right after I started, a bunch of people kind of, for lack of a better word, graduated and moved on. And we ended up, it was like me and Will, and there'd be like two kids. Um, and man, for like a year, it was kind of still slow like that, right?
Mhm.
We'd have peaks and valleys of attendance and things like that. But I think that since then, I mean, now we have college group tonight. It's a Wednesday. We have college group tonight. and we're going over the last chapter of this book. And I mean, we will probably have 10, 8 to 10 students.
Hmm.
And that's an estimate, right? We may have more, we may have less, but I mean, going from a group where nobody wanted to talk ever about anything, they all were really quiet and reserved, and we were struggling to get people to show up, to a group that like does stuff on their own. Like the students that we have now are
Yep, that's true.
constantly making plans. I mean, you're still in the group me, you see, they're
Yeah.
constantly making plans to do stuff. They're participating in things at the church separate from college group, like volunteering and things like that. And it's just been, I'm so proud of the growth that the group has shown and the growth that the students have shown since then, I guess. Yeah, if you were to ask me what am I, and obviously what I'm proudest of is going to change as
Hmm.
I continue to grow, right? My wife and I aren't currently in the process of having kids or anything like that, and that's probably like a year or two on the horizon. And when that happens, that'll probably be my proudest thing. But right now, I always get super excited for Wednesday nights to get to go and see what the students have gotten excited about. Like what are they excited about? What are things that they've learned? And I'm proud to be involved in that and proud to be a part of it.
We like that. We like that. So tapping kind of deeper into your personal life. What are one of your biggest challenges in life?
Mm. Uh, on a personality level, probably one of my biggest challenges is um like listening, not listening, but not being the smartest person in the room or not trying to be
Mm,
the smartest person in the room. I'm very much a know-it-all and I need to be right. Like those are character traits that I struggle with a whole lot. My need to be seen as super competent and just controlling the room, for lack of a better word
mm,
or better phrase. And so I think that's probably one of the things that I struggle with the most. It is keeping those character traits under control, or rather than me controlling them, giving them up to God and letting him use them. Right?
I like that. Yeah.
The the need to be right while in like a one-on-one conversation can be really frustrating for the other person. There's
Mm,
a side of it where it drives me to like research stuff so that I can be right. So it gives me the ability to have more informed conversations. Obviously, I need to temper those elements when we're having conversations, but yeah, luckily God has put me in a position where people ask me things. He's kind of leveraged those qualities, those negative qualities, to still be able to do what he wants me to do. And he's
mm,
used them to humble me for sure. Like, one thing I've had to get used to, especially recently in some of these conversations with students or even with like peers at work, is I have to get comfortable with saying I don't know things.
mm,
And that is like antithetical to the way I operate. And so, um, God has put me in a lot of situations recently where I've had to say, no, I don't know, or accept fault and like fault, like when things have gone bad, owning up to them instead of trying to still control like what people think of me. Right.
yeah. I
I
feel like
think
that's
that's,
I feel
yeah,
like
go
that's
for
a
it.
good thing to pick up on too. It's just being able to, like you said, be comfortable with saying, I don't know and
Yeah.
I'm not sure type of thing.
Yeah. That's hard for me. And so I think that it's a good thing that God is putting me in a space to do that, where I have to do that for sure.
We gonna keep it a little low right now. What is your
Cool.
deepest regret in life?
Mm. Without getting into too many like nitty-gritty details, probably like 6 months after getting married,
Mm,
um, just getting in, having my wife and I had a conversation, and I really hurt her in that conversation.
mm,
Some of my behavior wasn't lining up with how it should have been. And it wasn't necessarily, it wasn't super egregious or anything because
mm.
whoever listens to this, right?
Russ is such a bad
They don't know
person.
me, right? They don't
Russ
know
is
me
such
and
a
they don't
bad
know.
person, everybody.
I know, right? But I mean, on a serious note, just the hurting my wife,
Mm,
right? It could have been like an innocuous it was an innocuous conversation, and I said something offhand, and it really hurt her. And we had to
mm,
have a long conversation about it afterwards. Um, and like we were already like, not for any specific reason, but just because we wanted to continue to like make sure that we were handling everything well in this transition into married life. Um, one of the people that we went to premarital counseling with, we were still having regular meetings, and we brought this issue to that person. And but I think now, even now that now that we've kind of talked through it, resolved that situation, and grown closer since, I still look back at that time with, I regret that I even caused that in the first place,
mm,
right? God's done a lot of work with it since then, but the initial harm caused would probably be one of my deepest regrets in life. I'm really lucky that there has not been a lot of things in my life that I've had true, genuine, deep regret over.
mm.
I know that's not true for a lot of people, but I'm very blessed that I'm not in that camp, and that I've just kind of gone with the flow a lot of the times, and I haven't
Yeah.
ended up in a situation where I've had to regret a bunch of things. I mean, like I said, one of the things that I struggle with is being the smartest person, trying to be the smartest person in the room. And a
Mm,
lot of that comes with being a smart mouth, right?
mm.
Or just kind of talking just to talk. And
Yeah.
so a lot of my primary regrets come from my mouth, right?
I felt that. I felt that.
Having said something that hurt somebody's feelings, like genuinely, even
Mm,
if I didn't intend to, or saying things with intent to hurt, right? Because I get frustrated. I need to be the smartest person in the room. I don't really struggle with anger for the most part. Like, I don't get angry easy, but when I do get angry, like, I get frustrated and I'll say
yeah.
things without thinking, or just kind of to say them, right? I think a lot of people struggle with that, but for me, that's definitely
A big one.
been a big one. Yeah.
So tapping back into you said you're married. I knew that, but for the people who don't, he is married. And looking at you and Anna as I'm gonna name drop right now, Russ.
Go for
um,
it.
what do you think are the most important qualities that you've seen in her, or that you look for in friends as you're living your life?
Yeah. Um, that's a really good question. So first of all, Anna knows that, like, Anna, it's okay that you name dropped. I told her that you asked me to be on the pod, and she said that that was really cool. Um, Most important qualities. I mean, especially in a friend,
Mhm,
I I want a friend who's discerning,
mhm,
right? As in, like, they're able to make informed decisions. Um, or even if they're not like necessarily informed, they like think critically about the decisions that they make. And I also like for them to like look at things with godly wisdom.
Hmm.
I think that's another big part of it. Um, I know in Anna, she thinks very hard about every decision she makes. She doesn't make decisions willy-nilly.
Hmm.
Um, and on top of that, with her, like you met her, you know
Yep,
how tender-hearted she is,
she is. Yeah.
right? I think in a friend and especially in a partner, like a life partner, like my spouse, I want someone who is considerate when they're making decisions, thinks about how it affects other people. I mean, is loving, right? Obviously, when you talk about a spouse, you always think of love,
Hmm.
but I think a lot of people hit romantic love and stop. And I think there's so much more in especially in a marriage, there's so much more than romantic love that needs to go into it.
Ooh, I like that
Mhm.
one. I like that one.
There's I mean, love is not a feeling as much as it is a thing that you do. Like you show love to somebody by doing stuff. And she shows love to me by doing things that I appreciate, and I show love to her by doing things that she appreciates. Whether it be um like encouraging words, doing chores for them on their behalf, or doing things that you like gifts. Like
Hmm.
whenever I go out to work out and come back, if she's still at home and hasn't left for work already, I know that she likes a sweet treat. So I get her
Hmm.
one because she likes it and it makes her feel loved. Those sorts of things. Someone who is considerate of you, cares about you, and I think it's important, especially in a partner, for it to extend beyond just romantic love to like to get biblical sacrificial love, right?
Yeah, I feel like
Where
in
you're
this
willing.
generation with or not with this generation. I think it's my generation. I think so. Where like love is so skewed nowadays. It's like, oh yeah, you have to like the big conversation that is going around right now. It's like, oh, 50-50. Everything needs to be 50-50. 50-50 this, 50-50 that. I was like, when watching even with the way you and Anna interact and like watching the way that Cammy and Josh interact and just the married couples that I have in my life is like nothing's ever 50-50. You're giving 100% all at all times because if not, it's like you're not giving anything at all. That's just the way that it sits with me, if that makes sense.
Yeah, yeah, yeah. I there's um there's a quote. I don't remember where it's from. Um, but a marriage isn't 50-50. I looked it up really quick to see where it's from, but I don't think I can find a specific source. Everybody's saying it's theirs.
Yeah.
But like a relationship, especially a relationship with somebody as close as like your partner, your husband, your wife, whatever, that if you're only giving 50%, you're not giving enough, I
Hmm.
think. I think you're gonna end up giving way well more than that. And I think the quote
Hmm.
is it's not 50-50, it's 100-100. You're
Hmm.
giving everything for them, they're giving everything for you, and that's how you're both getting your needs met. Um, yeah, I don't know. It's definitely important for me to bring it back to the question, right? The most important qualities is discernment and consideration,
Mm.
right? Nobody wants to be friends with somebody who doesn't make good decisions
Amen.
and
Amen.
doesn't consider how the people around them are affected by their decisions,
Hmm.
right? Like I, if you go on Reddit or any of those like relationship advice things, like if you go on TikTok and where they're reading all these stories about am I the jerk for
Yeah.
doing XYZ? Nine
Hmm.
times out of 10, it's because somebody in that relationship did not care about anybody else.
Hmm.
and they didn't make good decisions. And I think if you have someone that is considerate and discerning, then you're in a relationship where there's love.
Hmm.
I wouldn't go so far as to say that those are the only things that make up love, but I think that those things follow love,
I like that.
right? They're fruits of love. How about
I
that?
like that. I like that. I think we got the title. It's the love talk with Russ. I think we got the
Uh-oh.
title. We we got it. We got
Oh
it.
no.
Well, heading into the next question.
Sure.
What gives your life meaning outside of your wife and then outside of the college group? If it's
Hmm.
just Russ Spry by himself, what gives his life meaning?
Um, what gives your life meaning? That's a deep one.
Hmm.
I appreciate that question because it's something that you don't think about a lot, like especially divorce from the context of like your interpersonal relationships and the
Hmm.
things that you do. You know, before I say anything else on it, I read something really interesting where this guy he was talking about like language differences between like the US and some other languages in Europe. I think it was German was the main one that they were talking about, or even English, just English and German, not just American English. And it was whenever we have a conversation in the US when we're introducing somebody, we're so work defined, right? What's one of the first questions you ask somebody when you meet them? You say, "Hey, what do you do?"
Yeah, what do you
And
do?
what do they
Hmm.
answer? They answer what they do
Oh,
for work.
I am
They,
this, I am that.
yeah, like I'm a data analyst,
Hmm.
right? But that's one thing that you do.
That's
Right?
fair. That's
And then
fair.
I think I don't remember the exact language situation, but I think in German it's more like who are you or what are you
Mm.
called or something like that. Like wie heißen Sie in German is what are you called? And that's more introducing your name, but I think that like it's really hard, especially, and I'll say this kind of just as general, especially as like a guy
Hmm.
in the United States. We are so defined by our work.
Yep.
Like if somebody asks, what do I do? I've thought about that recently when somebody goes, unless somebody asks me what I do for work, I try and think of another answer. What's something that I like to do? Somebody goes, what do you do? I've tried to start doing this. So if you catch me on the street, you may catch me off guard and I may just answer that I'm a data analyst. But I've tried to start implementing that where I'm like, oh, I like to run. Like, what do you do?
Mm.
Oh, I run. Oh, I like to I work out. I work with college students. Is that your job? No, it's just something I do. I think that that's an important like distinction or delineation. Like my
Think it.
work, I've said this a couple of times to bring it back to the question that you asked, like what gives your life meaning.
Mm.
I've told multiple people I work to live. Like I do my
Mm.
job. I do my
Mm.
job to do my job is a vehicle to get me to everything else.
Mm.
I like my job a lot.
Russ is out here dropping knowledge for y'all. Y'all better be listening right now.
Well, I like my job a lot. I really enjoy my job, but my job isn't the reason I get up in the morning.
Hmm.
Everything outside of my work is the reason I work. And to answer your question of what gives my life meaning, outside of the Sunday school answer, I mean, there's a really strong nugget of truth in Jesus,
Hmm.
right? And that's something that I'm continually working on is incorporating him into everything to actually feel that he's at the center of everything. I
Hmm.
think I have a bad habit of just kind of having times where he is, like tonight at college group
Mm.
or in the morning if I am specifically leading the 3 Bible study or whatever, like those sorts of times. But I'm trying to work on making it more regular and all the time because he, on a cosmic level, he does give my life meaning.
Yeah.
And I'm trying to get to a place where I can recognize that a lot more often. Um, but on a more worldly level, I think the things that give my life meaning are my relationships with my friends and family.
Mm,
And I mean the things I enjoy. Like when I get up in the morning, the reason I don't really ever ask that question like why am I here?
mm.
I get up and I think thank God I am,
Thank God I am.
right?
I like that.
Yeah. I I I, I don't know. I've never really thought about that question, what gives my life meaning? I've more just thought my life has one
My life has
and let
meaning.
it at that.
Mm,
Like my life has meaning because because I have one. My life has meaning because Christ died on the cross so that I could live it free
mm-hmm.
from sin, right? And whatever like that it's in itself is enough meaning
I like
without
that.
getting preachy, right? I'm kind of getting in my the
Mhm.
college pastor mindset right now. But like the and for clarity, I'm not a pastor. I just help out with the call. I'm a volunteer. But the I mean that's what I think of. If somebody was like, "Well, what is the meaning of life?" I mean, the Westminster Confessional says, "What is the chief end of man? To glorify God and enjoy him forever."
Mhm,
And so when I think about when I get up, like what I get up and think, what do I get to do today?
mhm.
And I guess the meaning in my life is to glorify God and enjoy him forever through whatever means, whether it be having a kind word for someone at work or going leading a workout at F3 or leading the discussion at college group or staying at home all day and cleaning the house so then when my wife gets home from her job since I work from home that that's something she doesn't have to think about anymore. Like
Mhm.
those sorts of things. And bringing glory to God when I do those things.
I like that. So heading into the last about 7 minutes that
Sure.
we have, ask one final question before I open up the floor to you. So pose any questions back to the listeners of the podcast. This is a fun one, Russ. I hope you're ready for it.
Sure.
What's your theme song and why?
Oh, okay. Okay. I saw that you sent some like some more fun ones when you gave me a chance to pre-look at these questions.
Mhm.
Oh man, my theme song and why. Kind of think of one that's appropriate. Um,
There's billions of songs, Russ.
I
Billions of
know
songs out
there's
in this world.
billions of songs. No, no, no. I mean like verbiage appropriate. No, I'm just kidding. Ah, have you heard the new Judah and the Lion album?
I haven't, but I I think I heard I don't know if they played a snippet of it at the concert,
Yeah, all of the
but
song, almost all of the songs that they played at the Need to Breathe concert were from the new album.
I heard part of it then.
Yeah, yeah, yeah. Um, there's a couple of good ones on there. I really like the song Heart Medicine
Hmm.
by Judah and the Lion. That one's really good. I wouldn't say that that's my theme song. It's just a song that I want to shout out. My theme song. Honestly, there's a song by the band Nickel Creek. They're a bluegrass folk trio. They're
Hmm.
very, very popular. Guitar, fiddle, and mandolin. And they have a song on their album, Why Should the Fire Die,
Mm.
called Doubting Thomas.
Ooh.
Um, and I highly, highly recommend. Well, it's hard for me to recommend it because it has such a specific, not specific meaning to me, but somebody else may not feel the same way about it that I do. They may
Who would you
hear it.
recommend it to? Who would you recommend it to?
I couldn't tell you. I think
Mm,
that you'd have to hear it and it would resonate. It'll either resonate with you or it won't. It's um it's one of those songs I am hard pressed to recommend it because it could feel very, for lack of a better phrase, sacrilegious. It's
mm,
not to me. It is not at all, but it could be to somebody. It's like that song by King's Kaleidoscope, A Prayer.
mm,
It's explicit, and a lot of people had a lot of problems with that because it's a worship song
mm,
with the F word in it. But it's so authentic and raw. It was written, I think, when before I think that it was written when the author's or the songwriter's son passed away. And it was just it was an authentic prayer. And for me, while I wouldn't say that Doubting Thomas is a prayer. For me, it just rings true.
I like that.
There's a verse where this is the bridge. Can I be used to help others find truth? When I'm scared, I'll find proof that it's a lie. Can I be led down a trail, dropping breadcrumbs to prove I'm not ready to die? And then the chorus goes, I'm a doubting Thomas. I'll take your promise, though I know nothing's safe. O me of little faith, O me of little faith.
Hmm.
And I think it was written originally with the intent of just talking about doubts, especially doubts in your faith. Now, Nickel Creek's not a Christian artist. The band isn't. In the
Hmm.
past, I think that different members have been or currently are. But like the first verse is what will be left when I draw my last breath? Besides the folks I've met and the folks who know me, will I discover a soul-saving love or just the dirt above and below me? The whole song is just kind of an ode to being a doubting Thomas, right? And
Hmm.
that resonates with me because I know throughout my life I've been that person. I mean, even to today, right? I definitely experience moments of doubt. And I think that that's normal as a Christian, but it that song resonates with me so much because over the course of the song he comes to terms with the fact that okay, I have little faith. I'm doubting, but I'm still going to the last chorus. I'm a doubting Thomas. I'll take your promise, though I know
Hmm.
nothing's safe. O me of little faith.
We
So,
like that one.
yeah, I would highly even if folk or bluegrass is not your taste in music, I would recommend at least giving it a listen. They actually Nickel Creek came to town earlier this year, this spring, and Anna and I went to go see them at the Von Braun Center, and um, I've seen them 3 times. This was the third time. The first 2 times I saw them, I really was hoping that they would play this song, and they never did. And then this was their encore when they
Ooh,
were here. So
pulling up on the last 2 minutes. Last 2 minutes. We got this. We
sure.
got this. We good. So 1 minute for myself and 1 minute for you, Russ. Here we go. I'm gonna open up the floor to you to pose any questions back to either me or the listeners of the podcast.
Okay. For me to ask questions.
Yeah. Pose a question back to either me or the listeners.
Okay. I'm curious. What are you proudest of in your life? Just one
Um,
minute. We'll throw one
proudest
of
of
those
in my
back at you.
life. Um, if I had to choose, would probably be not to use the cliche answer, but would probably be of what God has been doing in my life for the past 2 years of
Hmm.
living with Josh them and whatnot, and then also just just my life itself, to be honest,
For sure.
and the different things that I've gone through and continue to go through. Um, like I covered in the previous episodes, and as you know, Russ, I'm in a wheelchair and all that kind of
Hmm.
great stuff. So just navigating that while God's been keeping my mental focus straight on the cross. And I'm not saying I'm perfect in any regard, but just kind of allowing God to allow him to work in my life is what I think makes me the proudest right now,
Yeah,
currently.
man, that's powerful. I think that's a hard thing to do is to give God space to actually do things.
Because a lot of the times I want control, but
Yeah,
and sometimes I do
tell
try
me
to
about
take
it.
control, and then all of a sudden it's like I get hit by a stone brick wall, and it's like, hey, relax,
Hey, we're
I
going
got
this
this.
way. We're going
Yeah,
this way, dog. You don't get a choice.
yeah. So
For sure.
with the last 30 seconds, Russ, you got 10 words, Russ. What's one piece of advice you can share with the listeners of the podcast? 10 words or less.
10 words or less. Okay. Pray for godly wisdom, talk less, listen more.
And with that, all God's people said, Amen,
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 brother.
Amen. Once again, thank you, Russ, for hopping on the podcast. I'm sorry we couldn't go longer. I would have loved to go longer, but Zoom is free for the first 45 minutes. So but yeah, so thank you, Russ, for hopping on the podcast. Highly appreciate it. Um
No problem, man. Thanks for asking.
yeah,
It's been fun.
Like Russ said, he does do the Wednesday night Bible studies at River Tree at the what is that? What do we call that house?
So the 208
The
Westmoreland
208
House. That's
208 Westmoreland
for
House.
college students or like college age students, college age people. On Wednesday nights we have food. We hang out. We've been reading through a book called Gentle and Lowly by Dana Ortland. We're finishing up tonight and we're going to start a new book maybe next week, week after. So I'm excited.
Yeah, and then also if y'all are just young adults looking for a place to hang out, they also do have the fireside chats and the young adults men and women's group. So feel free to check out the River Tree Instagram page. Um, and yeah, if y'all are listening to this podcast while sitting next to somebody, be sure to tell them that you love them, and we'll catch you in the next one. Thank you for listening to the David and the Bear podcast. Thank you for listening to the David and the Bear podcast, where every story ends in victory. Yes, sir.